crowd we have here tonight. We have done a sustainable development goal, and it's goal number 9, and that means all about infrastructure. And what we're about to hear is how we're growing the South Florida economy, and that's really important when you start to think about the future. So what we have today is Susie Batt from Opera.
Thank you for coming today. So happy to be here with Matt and Alteon.
And I'm Matt Cimaglia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Alteon, and we have a pretty exclusive announcement that we're going to make here today. And why don't we go ahead and check that out? At Alteon is partnered with the Opera crypto browser. What that means is, look, everyone here right now, anyone that's taking a photo, my mom's here, I know she's taking a photo, everyone here is a content creator. And when you think about content creation in digital files, well, when we look at the last 2 decades, let's say, all of your files that you're sharing with other people are going onto social media. Great, everyone gets to see them and enjoy those photos in your vacation and so on. But the negative part about that is you, as a content creator, don't have ownership of that file or of that property. And using NFTs or using the new Launchpad by Alteon, you can retain ownership of that file by putting them onto a blockchain. And so, again, Opera has been an incredible partner with us, and we're just incredibly thrilled to be a part of this whole ecosystem with you guys. So, we have an exciting guest here today, Mayor Suarez. Mayor, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What is Miami right now? I mean, Miami is just absolutely exploding from a tech scene. Why do you think that's happening? Aside from you being an amazing mayor.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It would take a long time to explain the whole thing. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the University of Florida, which is my alma mater. I went to law school, and it's really cool to see that they have a blockchain lab here in Miami. And I think it's the appropriate place to have it since we're #1 in the nation in blockchain-funded companies. We increased from last year 2,061%, or $800 million in funding to blockchain companies. And I think the reason why it's happening is severalfold. Some of it is taxes at some level, right? You have people that there's a massive tax differential from living in places like New York and California. If you're in the highest tax bracket, you're literally taking home 46 cents on the dollar if you live in New York. 46 cents of the dollar that you earn. In a place like Miami, you're taking home 67 cents, or 63 cents, I'm sorry. So it's a significant delta. That's one part. I think the other part is attitudinal, right? We have a different attitude. In places like New York, famously, they said, they won the HQ2 prize from Amazon, 50,000 high-paying jobs, and they said, no thank you. In San Francisco, famously, somebody, an elected official said, F Elon Musk, and he replied, message received, and left, right? And why is that important? It's not important only because you have the world's richest person leaving your city, or one of the world's most prominent companies packing up and not giving you 50,000 high-paying jobs. That's bad. But the signaling effect, in my opinion, is worse. The macro impact is worse. And so by contrast, today is, I think, December 2nd. On December 4th, 2 days from now, will be the 2-year anniversary of my tweet, which reflected our attitude, which was a response to a question. The question was, what if we move Silicon Valley to Miami? And my answer was, how can I help? Right? So, and the reason why is because I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. I have an 8-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. My 8-year-old, if I let him, which my wife does not, but if I did, he would play Roblox or Minecraft all day long. So he is in the metaverse. He is in Web3. And it is monetized, trust me. You can see my bank account, it's monetized. And my daughter, who's 4, when she was 2, got her I'll never forget this. I was putting her to bed one night, and she got her pacifier and started taking a selfie with it. And I said, oh my God, like this is inevitable. If a 2-year-old is already demonstrating sophistication with technology, the inevitability of Web3 in all its iterations is evident. And so as cities, by the way, this is not a Miami thing or a Florida thing or a US thing. This is a worldwide phenomenon, a quad-generational inflection. As cities who at some level compete for resources and talent, there is no choice. You have to lean in. You have to surf the tsunami of opportunity, or you're gonna get washed away.
Yeah, well said, well said. And overall, I mean, I think that you look at Miami sort of being this third city now coming into the fold, where you've seen New York, you've seen Silicon Valley happen, and now you're seeing all of this influx in tech talent coming to South Florida. So speak a little bit more about sort of what you're seeing from that landscape of,
Sure.
of new talent and also retaining them here.
Yeah, I think that's a great follow-up. First, what you're seeing is what I came up with a name, FlyMo, the FlyMo effect. So the FlyMo effect is the combination of the flywheel effect and FOMO, fear of missing out, combined, FlyMo. So it's basically another way of saying momentum. You know, we have a tremendous amount of momentum, and our competitors are not doing anything to stop the momentum. You know, when you see a basketball game or a football game or whatever, and you start to see these teams develop a momentum, usually their competitors, their opponents, make adjustments, right? They stop blitzing or they blitz more, right? Like there are things that they do. They substitute somebody in basketball to cover the best player. They make adjustments. It doesn't seem to me like my competitors are making any adjustments. So it's building upon itself. And the KPIs tell a very compelling story. We're #1 in the nation in tech job growth. We're #1 in the nation in tech job migration. And that's important because when you talk about talent, there's creation of talent, which you asked about, but there's also migration of talent, meaning they can go to Stanford, they can go to University of Florida in Gainesville, they can go to, hopefully they build a campus here one day, you know, they can go to MIT or Harvard. The question isn't where they study for 2 or 3 or 4 years, the question is where they work. And 95% of the people that live in Silicon Valley were not born in Silicon Valley, right? It'd be a really big hospital, right? They're not. So what's beautiful about Miami is we embody that same principle prior to this moment. 70% of our residents were not born here. I'm in the exceptional 30% category. I'm the first mayor of Miami ever born in this city, in the history of the city, 125 years. It's pretty cool. But you see $2.5 trillion in assets under managed companies moved in the last 24 months. Last year, we had a 400% increase in our venture capital pipeline. This year, even with increasing interest rates and drying liquidity, we still outpaced last year's growth. So this is an unstoppable force, in my opinion. It's generational, it's attitudinal, and unless cities change dramatically, which I don't see happening, the inevitability of this is just as much as my daughter using her pacifier or selfie and my son playing Roblox 12 hours a day.
So the growth of tech industry in Miami is unparalleled. What is your message internationally? Opera is based in Oslo. We have 380 million users worldwide. What message would you like to bring internationally about Miami?
Well, I think the message, well, first of all, we're #1 in the nation in direct foreign investment, according to Financial Times. We're also ranked the most important city in America by Financial Times. I think the message I want to give is we need sensible and intelligent regulation in this country so that these international companies feel comfortable coming to the US, headquartering in the US, and understand that they can grow and scale their business in the best country in the world, the most stable country in the world, the one with the most liquidity, the one with the most access to capital, etc. We want to be known as the capital of capital. We want to be, our goal, my goal, and you know, by extension as mayor, our city's goal, is to be the center of where capital is aggregated and where capital is deployed. We're living in a very decentralized world, and obviously with remote work and with the blockchain, its major principle is decentralization. But there will be centralization, in my opinion, of the C-suites of companies that are created, and that will mean that there will be aggregation of capital centers and deployment of capital centers, and that's what we want to be. We want to be the capital of capital.
You're making me want to move here.
Let's go.
Hey, this is my hometown.
I got more stats.
Yeah, so I'm from South Florida, and it's such a privilege to have you here. You're here because of Alteon and Opera and what we're doing, and just again being part of this ecosystem, being part of BitBasel and ArtBasel and everything else. What's your thought about that? I mean, what's your thought about what we're doing here?
Well, I'm also here because the mayor of Jacksonville is a good friend. Lenny Curry asked me to come, and you can give it up.
We have a lot of Jacksonville representation here. Right?
And I like Jacksonville, and I like Lenny. It's no Miami, but it's a very cool place. And I think it talks about we're in this together, right? Whether it's Gainesville and University of Florida, whether it's Tampa and Jane Castor, Orlando, Buddy Dyer, whoever, we're in this together. I'm the president of all the mayors in the United States, the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. But what I think is interesting about Basel and Miami in this particular moment is take a look around you. Take a look around this room, right? I've been to, Basel, I guess technically started, it's the festival, but then it's all the things around it, kind of like at the beginning of this week. And I have been to, man, I can't even tell you how many events I've been to. Countless events. And I think I've been to one event of all of the events that I've been to where there's traditional art on the walls. Every other event, the 99 other events, it's digital art. So that to me is incredibly telling. I think Miami's Art Basel is arguably the most significant art show in the world, arguably. And to think that just a couple years ago, I didn't see any digital art, and a year like this, I haven't seen any non-digital art, right? I haven't seen any art that's not digital, or very little, at least. It just goes to show the trend in where the world is going, and I think Miami is at the epicenter of that NFT trend and world.
Miami embraces change.
No doubt.
Like, we constantly have different cultures coming through.
No doubt.
Forever. And I think that we've embraced that change so much, and when you start to look around the room, and again, similarly, growing up in South Florida, I've been to countless Art Basels, and it's so great to see over the last couple of years how that inflection point has shifted, and how we're really embracing different types of artists of all kinds. So I really appreciate your time. I know that you have to leave, but we're getting a signal over there, but I really appreciate your time here today, and thank you for joining everyone.
Thank you, and I'll just finish by saying we embrace change, as you said. We also embrace competition. We came from, many of us, our origin stories coming from a country where our property was taken from us, our businesses were taken from us, and we were told, don't worry, everybody will be equal. And it's true. Everybody was equally poor and equally miserable, right? And so we came to this country, the greatest country on the planet, with the hope and the dream that our tomorrows could be better than our yesterdays, and that if we worked hard, ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren can be prosperous. And we have to fight for that dream, and Miami is the epicenter of that dream in this country.
Mayor Francis Suarez, thank you.